Hey guys, welcome back. Again, happy 4th. I About an hour ago I just got home from the 4th of July parade in Bridgeton. Um, it was definitely really awesome. Um, the only thing I will say that kind of screwed it up, well, it didn't screw it up. They kept it going, which was awesome, but somebody that wasn't part of the parade ended up driving through the parade, not being able to wait after the parade was over. So this was somebody who was driving on the opposite side of the road trying to get through the parade as it was going on. And I'm like, I would have thought that the police would have blocked off the roads. Either that or they weren't paying attention, one or the other. But the person went through as the parade was going on. And the thing is, it was kind of dumb and foolish because they were headed towards Harrison, meaning that they would have had to go through Bridgeton's, the town of Bridgeton, to take that left to get into Harrison. So kind of bullshit, but I mean, but the thing is, I don't think they made it all the way down because I think there was people. But honestly, why have somebody? I mean, that person couldn't have waited after the parade, or at least until it was over. I feel like they didn't have to. I mean, even if they, I mean, they clearly probably were paying attention, but I would think it would be an indication to people the roads are blocked, or at least going into Bridgeton, because that's where they block the roads, is right around the monument. And I'm like, I was like, how would they been able to let somebody in like that, knowing that the parade is going on, and not even like caring that the parade is going on, like just driving. I don't know. I find that kind of stupid and dumb that nobody, I mean, they couldn't have waited until the parade was over. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, as I was walking Thor down the sidewalk, had pointed that out. That, like, this person drove right through without, caring there was a parade going on. I mean, I was gonna. Because the thing is, even if they had taken another road, there's no other road in Bridgeton that I can think of that leads into Harrison. I mean, because they would have still had to face the parade, even if they turned on a side road. Because the parade, I believe they're beginning and they finish right up. So they go. So actually, they're coming from near Hannaford, so across from Hannaford down into the city of Bridgeton. And yeah, so they're definitely they're going all the way through the city. So it was a good parade, though. There was some really awesome vintage looking cars, some awesome floats. There were vets in a marching band, which was awesome to see. One of them had bagpipes, which was really cool, I got a salute from somebody, and that felt really good. Honestly, I mean, I don't typically. I'm not a kid anymore, but like I leave the candy if it's thrown for the kids, because like because I can still enjoy things, still being a kid at heart. You know what I mean? Like, not that I don't love candy, but I just for me it would. I mean, I'm a young man, and I'm not a child anymore, so but yeah, Thor had a great time as well. I think he got a bit bored, but we brought water with us, ice cold water for him. But he was hot. I mean, it was hot today, and yeah, my mom ended up bringing like a blanket, and she put like a damp towel on the blanket for him, so he could feel kind of like cold, at least like a damp towel, because he was hot. But we made sure he had water. He has water. We brought water with us with ice cubes, and he was just. I feel like he wanted to like walk around, even though we got there around 11:48, so we got there 5 to 10 minutes before the parade started. But still, it was a great time. And then after we had gone to McDonald's and got an ice cream. The thing is, sometimes when ice cream stands are, I mean, that's exactly what happens in the summers. They're when they get too busy, easier routes of getting an ice cream. McDonald's being one of those places. But Thor, he got a plain sundae, just plain vanilla ice cream, but you put it in the cup holder. I have to take the lid off, but he'll take it out of the cup holder and put it on the seat. But he's really good because he'll hold it with his paws. After that, we had gone to Tractor Supply because there was a woman in there that, as I mentioned earlier, that really wanted to meet Thor, and we showed her pictures of him and stuff. So unfortunately, she was not working today. It's funny because I did remember her name because I had read her name tag yesterday. But she wasn't working today. But one of the funniest things that happened was, so those of you that like say for example, you're in like a store like Walmart and somebody pages you, they're like, attention Walmart shoppers, is there a Tom McNally in the store? Your party is waiting. It was funny because they did it to call another woman, another employee, to say hi to Thor. But they said so and so please come to the front desk to pet, or was it Thor? No, that's right. They said Thor is waiting for you or something like that. But they did it through the intercom, and I thought that was really, really awesome. And Thor's like looking around. He's like, ooh, like, but I love kind of that kind gesture. It was funny because like they paged this woman, this employee, because she was in the back, and yeah, it was really awesome. But the thing is, Thor's well known anyway. Everybody, I mean, literally at the parade, there was a lot of people that approached him and pet him, and Thor's a good boy. It's funny because there was a woman there that had asked me that if he's I told her, I said sometimes like the noise of the fire trucks bother him, but we were actually, and I did know this, but we were in one of the quiet zones, because at parades they have certain zones along the sidewalk called quiet zones, and they're mainly for kids, you know, or people that can't, that have a harder time dealing with siren noises, or at least the siren noise coming from a big emergency vehicle or a loud car horn. Um but quiet zones, but I didn't know we were in a quiet zone, but we were, but still people are going to still blow their horns, not as much, but they, I mean, but it's definitely not against the law to do. I mean, they have the right to do it, but that's the thing, is like Thor's ears are much more. I mean, mine were. I didn't like noises back then either, going to parades, but Thor, I feel like where him and I are alike when it comes to that. So I'm, because the thing is, if I know now. I mean, I'm much more grown up to like, it still bothers me, but when it bothers him, I have to remain extremely calm and not give him stressful energy. I have to be calm and either kind of like walk where, like, I mean, he's usually good, but you can tell that the noise bothers him because he wants to go sometimes in the truck. I will say he does good with the antique cars. It's just the fire trucks and the rescue vehicles, But it's not the vehicle, it's not the person, it's the siren. That's, I mean, that's what it is. But I had a woman approach me stating if he was if fireworks bothered him. I said as long he's inside, they don't bother him as much. But I still have yet to see if, because that's the thing, is fireworks. I mean, it was always the noise with me, but for Thor. Thor's like was like me back when I was little. Then it's the noise. It's not the actual thing. It's the noise associated with. It's the frequency. So, that's the thing is I want to cover Thor's ears, but I know his body language is kind of like walking away from the noise. Um and if I'm not moving with him, he does start to get a bit up like he lets out this big oof, but that's his way of like saying, like I want to move away from the noise. But I've never seen like having like a bat him having to walk away from like because he's usually in the house sometime most of the time when there is fireworks on our street. um but I actually am curious because I want to test that theory tonight to see if because I haven't really tested him with fireworks yet, especially being outside, but seeing if he has a similar reaction to what he has with, the sirens. Because I do want to, instead of stating to people, I know he's not bothered by them when he's in the house, but if he's outside, I definitely want to see his reaction if he has a similar reaction, because then I'll know. But yeah. And then later on we'll read that bear book. But the so last night, so that was a part of a quote I wrote as the title for that video from Abraham Lincoln, but it actually talks about so it's a quote about a bear hunt, but it was a quote that Abraham Lincoln wrote or actually came up with in his childhood in Indiana. Um, but I will say there's definitely other, because the thing is when people often bear hunt, you can use dogs, but there's also methods out there where dogs aren't typically used. But I will say if you're trying to relocate a bear from an area where there's a food source, like, because the quote actually, at least for me, it stands out that if you have an animal that's preying on your livestock, it's a quote of chasing the animal out of the area with dogs and on horseback. But the full quote has um but this the quote actually was written around 1844. um but it's about a chaotic, so really it's a quote that I feel like kind of talks about like a thrill of a hunt, Like after the bear is, killed, the thrill of the hunt is there. But it's about a chaotic frontier hunt. But it's a poem humorously describes hunters and their dogs chasing a bear that had been preying on pigs, ultimately ending up with the bear's death and a comical dispute among the dogs. But it's really kind of like a debate of what actually kills the bear between humans and this like little dog. But it transports readers to a lively 19th century wilderness where the hunt is filled with action and misshape. A wild bear chase didst never see, then hast thou lived in vain. Thy richest bump of glorious glee lies desert in my brain. The dogs and horsemen soon join the chaotic fray. Whoop, take him, tiger. Seize him, drum. Bang, bang, the rifles go. Eventually, the bear is killed, and the hunters begin to argue over who claimed the prize. In a humorous twist, a small, short legged dog, a vice that was forgotten during the main chase, emerges from the woods, shakes the dead bear, and claims the skin for itself. Lincoln ends the poem by comparing the little dog's boasting to pompous, conceited people in real life. So it sounds like it's like during the people's argument of who claims the bear, the dog comes out and steals the bear's skin. So like it's definitely actually kind of funny if you think about it cuz like people argue what, like that's the thing is people bring up these arguments of well I want the bear for this reason and I want the bear for that reason, whereas like the dog just comes out and steal like I feel like for me it's almost like the more you argue over something, something's gonna happen while you're arguing over something. Like something's gonna happen or something is gonna take the opportunity. it's almost like the more you waste time, the less it's gonna get done. But it's a very meaningful quote because I feel like that's what people like to do is they like to argue who gets what. Where in reality, it's like something's gonna happen, and that argument is gonna be. It's not gonna be with anybody. It's gonna be whatever happens for an opportunity is gonna happen. The thing is seeing that person go through the parade like that. I mean, it's the 4th of July, right? People are going to do horrible things. People aren't going to think of what they might do, might inflict an event. We all feel like that people should not think about themselves but think of what is going on around you. That is huge. I don't consider myself I wouldn't even consider myself a president. Absolutely not. But if I was the 26th person to make America as it is and really not confuse anybody or say to anybody, in order for you to be happy, you have to invest in being happy. For me, it would always start with freedom. Freedom for those to come home, freedom for those who want to go out and and discover other cultures, other states. Humans, including myself, want to know what happens when we do something, when we travel the world. We want to develop and discover new things. But in order to do that, you have to use the currency that is required to visit those countries. The thing I said earlier about the Pride Festival, I'm very much glad I'm going to be doing it and having fun. I'm not stating that I will not have fun and I will not enjoy myself. That is not what I hope most of you understand that. What I am stating is that I'm just a bit nervous. And I think anybody, but I know that nervousness is really going to rub off. But that's the thing you really have to consider too, is that things, big events, arenas I mean, a lot of the attacks inflicted in a stadium, a lot of them are terrorist attacks. Whereas something as a musician or a band breaking up, I mean, is due, like, a good example of what I'm talking about are the days of the night are of the 90s. Music in the 90s. You have big bands, but along with those big bands there is a original roster. Is it a is it a roster that will survive, we can't determine that. Us as an audience to those bands, and as we listen and enjoy that music, for me, I'm so into the music. And then if I clearly want to know more about what this band, like how they formed, the history of that band, that's like that's something you can do on your own time, research and dig. Um but again, it's the music that will bring you into those really experimental realms, or voids as I like to call them. Because I mean, that's the thing is, I I will tell you guys a story that I will say that I've never mentioned about a band that I really liked. And I still like them, but it's a band. I mean, actually, I will say, mentioning the band, they, I mean, so, and we're talking about the Stone Temple Pilots, but their original singer Scott Weiland was in a band called, shoot, was it Red Velvet? I think, or but that was a band. So the lineup for that band was incredibly awesome. So Scott Weiland. So Scott Weiland was in. So it was Velvet Revolver. So that was the band he was in before Stone Temple Pilots. But that whole lineup was with who's it was with the one of the original guitar players before Slash from Guns N' Roses. I can't remember his name though. We'll type in Velvet Revolver. So yeah, it was so actually Slash was in the band. Um it was a super group consisting of Slash, Duff McKagan, and Matt Sorum, alongside Dave Kushner, formerly of punk band. Brian Tichy was the drummer. Duff McKagan was the bassist. So Matt Sorum and Brian were both the drummers. Slash was the one of the guitar players. Izzy Strandlin, Dave Kushner, and Scott Weiland. But one of the most important things about Scott Weiland is that he had a brother growing up. I mean, not so much, I mean, not biologically, but this was a guy he lived with that he respected and loved. So more of like a stepbrother in a way. I mean, yes, he got more attention than Scott did, but I mean, that's sometimes what sometimes it's best not to be the center of something, even though you want to be the center of something. Whether it's family, a friendship, a relationship. If you want to be the center of something, I mean, it's usually through patience. It's really through. But most things are affected, when divorces happen. It brings somebody, especially being young, you lose connection with that parent, or it diminishes over time. But like I've learned in my life is that whether for me, like my parents were never married, they've never been married. And are they still together? They're still together because of me. Because and and quite frankly, I feel like I'm the biggest thing in their life that is preventing them from living together. But people often tell me all the time that I'm the reason for things. I'm the blame, I'm the reason for things. But people can't just tell me the truth of, am I the blame or am I the reason? My parents always were honest with me. The the best thing to know is that you don't have to be somebody. You don't have to like what somebody likes. You're yourself. You're either yourself as, for example, being Kathleen, being Andrew, being Ian, being Malachi. You're your own person. You're not anybody else. I often state to people, those who I will say bullies is another good example, is that when bullies want to be smart, they like to pick on people who are smart, because that's the thing. It's because they want to be smart, and they're picking on somebody who is smart and is extremely smart. I've encountered many bullies in my life. I've encountered people who want to make fun of other people. You don't show violent behavior towards bullies. Instead, you give them words of encouragement. Maybe they may not have heard before. You have to try things before you assume anything. I'll tell my kids what to say. I'll I know what to say to somebody who will pick on somebody. And usually when you pick on somebody, it's cuz you don't it's cuz it's cuz it's you find it hard to accept that person is smart, is intelligent. The thing is, instead of trying to tear somebody down with with being mean, you build, you construct. I would often state to people, well, when you're jealous of somebody being smart, you can be smart too. But that time you take of bullying somebody is passing you by. It's just like how, we think of many people that overpower. You know, People often refer to them as gods. But that's the thing, is people use the word overpower. They terminate that that word, that definition. Your overpower is investment, whereas power comes in spiritual things, and power comes in of how much you put into it, internally and outside. Because that's the thing, is to have power, to have enjoyment, to have something, you have to work for it. You have to earn it. Number one, it's not going to come to you. To earn your mark, you have to earn it. To make your mark, you've got to earn it. Even if you see two best friends, two family members get their mark before yours, there's a reason why you didn't get yours at that time. If I have any issues with people, I always approach them directly. If I have anything that I would like to speak to people about, I approach them directly. It's the same thing with people who might be jealous on your abilities. Because that's exactly what I feel like bullying really is. Somebody is jealous that they wish they have a similar structure of skill compared to you. It's not about creating a monster, it's not about creating somebody and them. That's their choice whether they want to listen and they want to go about it. But I definitely want to be. If I was not a musician And I mean, I love animals and I like speaking about animals as well. But other than that, I would want to be an activist of those who don't think they're smart or they go about bad behavior to show other people who are trying and just kind of want to be, especially children that are bullied, right? Do it because they want to feel they know they have the strength, but the bullies lack of that strength. And I wouldn't classify them as bullies. I feel like out of because the thing is, if you categorize somebody as a bully, you really have to know what a bully is. Sometimes, and I know this from experience, is that you try to speak to somebody who just absolutely hates you as a person, as an individual. I've tried it. I've tried reasoning with those kind of people. Does it hurt that they hate on you? I think part of it hurts, but I think when you let it hurt you, it's not it's not worth getting a full effect of hurt like that. Because if somebody doesn't like you or despises you as an individual, I say they have to work through that. I've tried speaking to those who do not give a shit about me, who have stated that they hate me. They hate me because they're jealous of me. Well, you know what? To make those people feel better, I'm jealous of what people go out and do. And my kind of jealous is I wish I was fucking there. But I want to have a job as being a therapist. I can see myself being a therapist, being a listener of those, especially children who struggle to find their inner strengths. And that includes being smart, wanting to be really mean to those who are smart. I've seen it. And I know from experience. But I know when I get jealous, it's typically of what people go out and do. But really, I have to think of it as if I want to be in the therapy background, I have to think, well, jealousy, a lot of people that are jealous use it as a mindset. They wish they were doing something that somebody else is doing. A man being hated on can never be destroyed by being hated on. A man that is hated is a man who survives, or is a woman that survives.